Hello everyone, and welcome back to something new. In this video, I will work in Blender to make this hyacinth flower, but there's something that I wanted to say right at the beginning. This is not a tutorial. This is, more like my practice session to get back into the saddle of making 3D models. At the end, I achieved a result which I'm quite happy with. That doesn't mean that it came easily. There are obviously multiple ways to achieve the same result. Some may even be more easy than this one. But, I hope this video still will have some sort of an enjoyment for some people to not to learn from, but to see a different method of making this. If it helped you in any way, let me know. But before you go any further in this is really not a tutorial. This is just like a practice session, so don't follow every step of it because I made mistakes. Anyway, let's get into it. Alright, hello everyone, and welcome back to some 3D modeling. I have not done this for a while, so this is not a tutorial. This is just me doing something, so I remain in shape, more or less. I have some basic knowledge of Blender, but nothing specifically interesting. Today I thought I will make something which will be a flower, a Hyacinthus orientalis to be more precise, or oriental hyacinth. I'm not particularly sure how it is. Oh, it says garden hyacinth, so that's supposed to be the thing. In case you are wondering, my screencast keys will be down here in the bottom left corner. And what I first do is I kind of try to separate what I will need for this. This is a relatively small plant, and in case you would not be familiar with it, it has an extremely strong, flowery, sweet scent. Like, extremely. If you have one of these at home, you will smell it in the whole house. Now let me do some annotations just so I can kind of separate what I will need. I will probably need one version of this. Let me see if I can make this a bit. I don't see any. Oh, I can add the little radius. But that's not the radius of the annotation. Anyway, we have to be content with this anyway. This is just temporary. So we will have the leaf. I drew a representation of this one here. I'm not 100% sure what I will do with these lines here. There's probably a good programmatic way to make that happen, but I am not particularly good with that. We will need this one flower, which is like a fully bloomed flower. I represent this with something like this. And we will need one which is just about to go. I represent that with something like this. And we need this central stalk, which is actually a fairly round and fairly thick stalk. And we kind of need this part here, but I guess we can make it part of the flowers. So there's basically 4 things that we need to model, and then we can do something about assembling it into one plant. I try to keep more or less to this form. It won't be exactly the same, especially in terms of colors. But yeah, this, by the way, blue is not actually just the only color for this. As far as I know, this is usually available in multiple colors, not just blue. Anyway, yeah. Let me pull back these annotations because we don't particularly need it. Let's try to start with something simple. Normally I would remove the cube, but I think that's exactly what we need. Not necessarily, because so how I will do this in general, it will be I make it a high poly model and I will have a low poly model and we will do a baking in Substance Painter. That's the method I know. And after that we might open the texture in a the graphic software, and I will try to edit a little bit, and I try to add these gradients into the flower. And I don't know, perhaps I should add the lines to the leaf as well when I'm painting that, but I think there's a way to make it in 3D and just bake it over. That would make it significantly more precise than drawing, at least for me, because I can't draw for shit. Let me make this a bit leafy-like with a little bit of a thickness. And what I will probably need is I kinda need to go to edit mode and put a few loop cuts in it. Not too much, but this much should be enough. And I know for a fact that we kinda need to make it a leaf shape. I just make it a generic leaf shape. When we assemble it, I can, make this a bit better looking. I switch on the X-ray so I can select all the vertices, and I can start, actually not that, I'm scaling it on the X so it will keep the thickness. I might actually need to make it a 0, so it will be we might not even need that much. I make it a bit like this. This should probably be good, right? I also add, not add, I'm adding another loop cut in the middle, because I think we technically will eventually need to make this like a bit like that. Not particularly good. I need to fix this section here. I take the X-ray off so I can take a closer look. Oh, I think we made an N-gon here. That is the problem. Hang on. Oh, I think I know what the problem is. Haha. I think these went a bit into each other. Is it? Right, now. Hang on. What the heck are those? Let me check. So it is... I think there are two vertices that are not rigid, so I tried to dissolve it and just put a... I put a connection between these with J and these with J, and that should solve our extra problem there. kind of make it simple. I wonder how I can add these lines into it. The easiest way would be to actually add more loop cuts, like this. Probably not the best way, but you know. And you kind of need to be selecting this and scaling it on the Z. I'm not sure how that would work. Select every second one, scale on the Y. Would this help actually? Hang on. I'm trying to figure out if we can actually make it happen like this. And make these in the middle a bit closer. I think I missed the numbering on it, but this more or less looks like this, but not exactly, so I'm not 100% sure that this will be the right way to do it. Also, what the heck happened here? Boy, I think I managed to mess this one up. Alright, let me roll this back. I don't think this will be the right approach here. We probably will need to do something else. Oh, it is there, hang on. Did I roll back too far? Oh, there you go. So that is where I wanted to. I think this needs to be painted on afterwards. I don't see any good way to make it a thing. Wait, why the heck is this looking like it's a see-through thing? It shouldn't be. Oh, it's not a see-through, it's just a grid. Oh, okay. GY. Putting it up. And now it looks good. It's just the lightning. This ending is not particularly good, but I think it's just how Blender is displaying stuff. GX. Oh no, I've not selected all of it. Let me get back to X-ray. Select both GX, and I'm pulling it back a little bit. Also, what we can do is press not Control, just A, and then F3, and type in merge by distance. This will remove the extra vertices on top of there, where we merged that two thing. Alright, let's move on to the simpler things. Let me put the cursor here, and we will get out of edit mode for this. I might come back to this later on though. This just, I'm pretty sure there's a good way to do it. I know we can do it with nodes and stuff, but then you need to bake the texture from Blender, which I'm not too familiar with. So I kind of want to avoid that. I know I can make it, you know, it depends on how detailed you want to do this high poly. I can probably make it in a way that the only thing that I can think of right now is that I have one line there, one line fairly close, another line fairly close, And if I select this one and move it down, that would create this thin and dark line there. That would probably help us. But I'm coming back to this at the end, because it kind of need to be on both sides and not like this. So that might probably need a bit more time than I'm willing to spend on this on the video. So for the moment I'm just making the basic parts, and then we can work on the refinement. Alright, I'm adding I think what I can add is a cylinder. That would work. If I rotate it on Y by 90. Oh no, I actually did something that I'm not intended to. So mesh, cylinder, add cylinder, and instead of 32 I make it 8. That should be more than enough, especially if it's smooth shaded. So now rotate by 90, scale down. By the way, this is relatively a firm and thick thing, so it will be a longer one, and it definitely needs to be longer than the leaf. Also, I think it needs to be kind of be a little bit less thick at the end. Let me put a loop somewhere here so I can actually close that end. I put another one somewhere here so it will not be too bad. I'm making this a bit thinner. I select all this. Oh, I messed this up somewhere. Alright, I need to get back here until this is more or less the shape that I want. Right, so Control R, loop cut somewhere here. Control R, loop cut somewhere here. Make it a bit less thick. Make this a bit more less thick. And then select all, scale 0. We probably can do something more with this. Let's see how the reference is doing it. So it basically comes out as one of the last flowers on it. So this should be good. We kind of need to make a little bit of a wobble in it, but we can probably work on that later. Also, I don't think we will need this end cap here for anything. So let me delete the face, because we will probably never need that. And for the rest, I'm selecting all A1 for vertices, and then I repeat the same, match by distance. So I remove the end cap, and this is just one vertex at the end of it. Alright, so this will be good for the stalk, the middle one. Let's take a look at the flowers. I will add... Alright, first of getting out of edit mode, then I add... I add another cylinder, I think that will be the best. And I make it in big first. How should we do it? First off, let me add this one and scale it out to make kind of a bulb. Like this. And then we can select the top bench. And then we can do an E to extrude and pulling it up roughly like this. We're making a bong. Looking at the reference again just to see. So it's kind of a bone, but it opens up at the top. And how we can do that is, I think I can add a loop cut into it somewhere here. And then I can delete this top face, select 3 X and faces. And actually, not even that. So I can delete this top part. I go to lines, fill in this one, and I just select one line and I do E to extrude, Z to up, and I need to do that with all. E to extrude, Z to up. So it will be roughly up. Okay. This can work, kinda. E to extrude, Z. E, Z. E, Z, Z, E, E, Z. I know how to do it. Hopefully. E, Z. The length is not actually matter that much, because, you know, we are making an organic thing, so it will never be 100% exactly symmetrical in every way. How should I do this? Alright, so I know that the bulby things are kinda moving outwards. If I like move this a little bit, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. So we have something of a shape that we probably can use. But as far as I know, it actually has a middle section. So if you look at very closely to this one, each of these is actually having a middle. Like, I can put a... Oh no, I cannot put a loop cut between these two. Not cool. What I can do is I can use a knife cut and just put it right there. Okay. I can move this out a bit. Perhaps not the best geometry here, but I'll deal with that in due time. Also, I think what I need is I kinda need to make this one a little bit wider, this one a little bit less, and then actually I can make it 0. Right, so these things are more or less getting into each other. So let me select these vertices and A F3 merge by distance, and that should sort out our problem here. Hopefully, yes. And these, and I can kind of rotate this a bit back. Yeah, and I kind of need to repeat this at the back of it as well. This will be the... I'm currently working on this top thing here, this one. So it kind of needs to open up, but it kind of needs to be fairly close. And the bulb might not be this prominent. Also, I might be able to add something here to make it looking a bit more organic. Alright, let me do this for the rest as well. Pum, 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 pum. Bit wide. Less wide. Scale 0. Oh, and I cannot do that between those. That's fine. Okay, this one there. Enter. Move it a bit out. Oh. Okay. I need to move these two close to each other, and how I can do it, since they are scaling to 0 is not working, I can use this magnet to vertex. Grab this one, G to the closest, and now A, F3, merge by distance. Alright, that solved it. I think I'm not 100% sure is this one, but I can probably do it like this. So I put this one there, this one there, and this one there. Oh, not perfect, but you know, it will work from a distance. I kind of need to make this a bit better though. But this will be the basis for the full one as well. It will just have a little bit of a bigger bulb. And I need to rotate these outside and back a little bit. Anyway, back to work. Pum, 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 pum. Pum, pum, pum. Pum, pum, pum. Pum, pum. Pum, merge by distance. G. Out. J to connect. Okay. To the top. Controller. Make it wider. Controller. Make it thinner. Scale to 0. Oh. F3 merge by distance. Actually, this merging by distance could be done a bit later. It's not a necessity that I do it right now. But you know, however, it's your 3D model. You do it however the fuck you wanna do. I probably need to move these a bit closer to each other after I finished with these three. And now I can merge by distance, removing all late at once. Alright, we are getting there. This is looking a bit blocky, but never mind that, we can always make it shaded smooth. Not particularly good. Hang on, I think I know why. Let me put on face orientation. Yeah, that's just the face. So that's why the shadows are looking a bit wonky. Shift N to recalculate to the outside. And this should be a bit better. Nah. Almost. I need to pull these things a bit closer to each other, making it look like it is actually closer. And before I do that, I actually will make a duplicate out of it. Just so I have a duplicate of it, because I will make the big one out of that one as well. Also, I tick off this magnetism. Doesn't look too good. For the moment I hide this one even. I don't particularly need it. And I don't need to shade this smooth until I kind of have the right shape for this top one. Yeah. Actually I need this top three. I need to move this out a little bit. And then move these in. Move these out. Yeah, I think what I needed is to actually rotate this a bit. And this one should be fairly there. Also, all of these look a bit wonky. Move this out. And then move these in. Even rotate it a bit. I'm almost tempted to leave this out. I need to change it a little bit, but I like that it's not evenly open. You know, as mentioned, it's organic, so, you know, it will never do anything 100% symmetrical. This is why I'm not too worried to make this pixel perfect everywhere. Approximation is fairly enough. Nee. Almost. And this bulby thing at the bottom should probably be... actually... like this. And I'm scaling it down a little bit. And making this a bit more like that. Yeah, I think it would work. And it's not particularly much in terms of the cost. It probably could be done better, but thinking about how that will work with baking. But that's a problem for another day. Well, actually not, but you know, later on the video when we can come back and correct it if the baking would have problems with this. Yeah. And the second one is the one that we hid. Actually, I might as well name these a little bit. So this will be the leaf. This will be the stalk. And this will be the flower 1. And the one that we hid. This one, this will be flower 2. I can probably confidently move this over here. And then all we need to do on this one... Wait, did I duplicate it at the right time? No, I did not. But that's more or less okay, because the open one needs to lean backwards, if it makes sense. I actually need to add more loop cut here. And then I need to rotate. Rotating in all the direction that I don't specifically want it to. Come on. Yeah. I'm checking how far this should go down. Might even need to extend this a bit. I'm kind of okay with the angle, but I think I kind of need to add one more loop cut in this one. Except that. It almost leans completely back. Let me rotate. Oh, not that one. Oh no, not even that. Kind of like this. kind of need to make this go a bit more to the down. Yeah, I think this would work, but you know, I was not looking at the angles, so I think I managed to move this whole thing a bit where I've not intended. And also rotate it a bit. Yeah, I think this could work, more or less. I just need to do it off on the rest of it as well. I also want to figure out how I will treat this inner section for the one that is open. I'm not 100% sure that it matters, because if I just make it black, this would not really be a problem. Technically what I can do is I select it, inset it, and then G and make it move down. But I'm not sure how much that will ever be seen, and if it will not be seen, that will just add to the geometry. So I probably don't need that. I need to go around this one and make all the petals lean outwards, the rest of the outwards petals. And I also should not forget that all of these dinguses have a bottom section. So this one I actually need to inset and extrude. No, extrude. Because you kind of need to make this work. I actually probably need to do that. I don't want to make it, you know, too much geometry here, but I think at least that much we can add. I can also make this one a bit more thingy. I think Control B is beveling, so it will look a bit less flat. I do the same on this one, selecting the bottom, inset, and then extrude. Yeah, I might need to change that a little bit, but that's the generic idea. Yeah, it needs to be a bit bigger. Scale anything but the Z. Yeah, this should more or less do it. I deal with it when I'm assembling it more. Alright, back to the boring part. Well, folks, this is the point in the video when I realized that I fucked up. Not particularly much, but I was not observant enough of my reference. As you can notice, each of these flowers have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 petals. So what I have here is something with 8 petals, so it looks a bit shitty. And doesn't look like that on the picture. So I kinda need to pause the video here and figure out how I will make it to a 6 petal thing. I can definitely make a thing with I can add a cylinder that is, hang on, oh no, I can add the cylinder with 6 sides instead. This will be a bit G, X, Y. Right, so I can make it with 6 sides instead, and that would make the leaves better, but it also means that I need to remake these 2 dinguses, which was majority of the video, and I'm already at the 1 hour mark and we haven't done shit. So I probably cut the whole thing out. I delete these 2 and remake it from a 6-side thingy, and I come back when I have both of these bulbs from a 6-sided thing, not an 8-sided, and it will look better. Alright folks, I ended up doing a little bit more than previously. Let's take a quick look at it. I removed the face orientation thingy. That will actually help me to do the things. Now they have the correct number of petals, and that's good. And they more or less the kind of shape that I'm looking forward to. The only thing changed is that this shape is now an actual shape, so it's not a plane. Hang on, I need to look into this a little bit. Kind of looks like we have a little bit of a problem here, but we can actually solve that by selecting all of this. And making it a bit smaller. Yeah, this should be good. Good shape-wise, good look-wise. This is roughly what I was looking for when I was aiming. Obviously this will be smaller, but I think we are fairly close to what I was aiming for. The problem is these 2 are not particularly good for production, so we kind of need to make a version of these 2, which is just a plane and doesn't have too much geometry. We will use these as the high poly one. I might even, you know, put a bit more groove in this one, because on the reference picture you can clearly say that in the middle of it there's a line for each of these, and it kind of looks like a ball sack at the bottom, so I might even need to shape that a little bit like these if I could. For some reason I'm not able to alt select all of this. But yeah, let me make this a bit like that. A bit like that, a bit more full. And you kind of need to figure out something how to make it a bit more looking like what we needed. This one is good. I'm more or less okay with this. So let's start the simplification after we did the complication. Alright, so what I need is I kind of need to remove some of these faces. Well, most of it. I don't think we will need any of the inner faces, so I'm selecting those. And also the faces on the side. It's a bit hard to select it, but you know, I actually don't need to do this. If I press C, that should help me select some of this, and I can actually delete that inner thing as well. And these, oh, not the middle one. C and select. And even the sides. Well, I can't really select the sides yet, but we are getting there. I delete these faces, and I kinda need to find the inner ones here. These two. these two, these two. I kind of need to go through all this. With a fine-tuned comb. Oh, there's 4 more here. Faces. And this one too. Eh, what? I didn't even know that it has an inner face. And that too. Oh, there's another one here. Right, so this is kind of the simplified thing, but I kind of need to look a bit more into it. What I need to do is, now I can create the inner side. It's not a necessary geometry, but you know, I just like to cover it a little bit. I need to make sure that these doesn't have any additional faces. This might have something here, but I can actually adjust it. Let me get in there. If I move this a bit, that will not look that wonky. Yeah, the main thing is that we shouldn't have things that we don't want on it. And this is like the simplified version of the same thing. It should act shade smooth. Yeah, the shade smooth will not work as perfectly on it as on that one because it doesn't have the required face for it. If we switch on the face orientation, you can see that the inside of it is flat. So if we use this, then we kind of need to make sure that in Unreal Engine, for example, we use double-sided material. But you know, using this would be like a waste of resources because we don't necessarily need the inner side of a flower, especially if it will be this small like this. I keep the big one as well because we can kind of, you know, copy the details like the proper shading from this one over to this one when we're making the texture. And I kind of need to do the same thing with this one as well. But I'm not wasting time with that one. I'm just moving it out here. And I cut back to the video when I removed the inner petals from this one. Well, alright folks, this is the part where I'm actually cutting a lot out of the video, because after I removed the middle section and made the bloomy flower low poly as much as I can, I went on rambling around, you know, how to bake over the leaf from the low poly to high poly, and I tried to bake things left and right, but it was not particularly successful. I did manage to bake the leaf. It looked more or less acceptable, but not the flowers, and the flowers ended up being painted with a plain color, and I anyway had to do some texture painting. I did not film that process, so I tried to just summarize it quickly how I went. So that will be the next section of the video, where I'm almost arriving at the final shape of this flower, and I talk a little bit about, you know, how I did it. If you remove the high poly models from this picture, you basically end up with the basic building blocks of the final model. So there's no point in spending too much time with Substance Painter while I'm trying to figuring out how to bake this properly, because at the end I did not end up baking anything. I ended up just UVing out the low poly parts, the ones that you see with red, and instead of doing a 3D cutout for the leaf parts, I ended up painting the lines on it as well, on the leaf. So the rest of the section is just making things a bit more complicated. So, this is me, future me, signing out and giving back the word for, previous me. Well, alright. Let's try to salvage this a little bit. This is actually the second day, and this is my finished flower. And I'm trying to explain a little bit what I did and how I did it. Let me show you the output with some colors. And this is what I ended up with. The end result is basically that type of a flower which was lower, so it doesn't have a geometry like a double. It's just one plane in the petals. And what I ended up doing is that I went to my UV editing. I remapped everything to the existing textures. There's a bit of an overlap here, but it doesn't particularly matter much because this is just the stalk and the leaf, and I was overlapping the UV for the stalk, but I could have just, reduce this and move this UV over here and make it a very small one. The point was that the stalk is green and you won't be able to see it much. Hang on, let me get back in there. So the stalk just needs to be roughly similar color as the others, so I'm perfectly okay with pulling it over there. The best way would have been to move this differently, but to create a new texture map for this, but I just reused the one that we already generated because it had the right colors for the stalk and the strikes in it, more or less. So that was good, and the rest was fairly easy because I had to just select the base color, go to texture paint, and then paint it on whatever I needed. The only thing I had to consider when I did the painting was if I go to face orientation, you see that the outside face of these is basically the bottom, so it's not really visible. I had to paint the flower from the bottom side. It wasn't too hard, it was just a bit of a tedious work, as texture painting usually is. How I did it, I was sampling. Don't mind this here, but how I did it was I was sampling the color with Shift X. I think that's the new shortcut for it. Previously it was S, but they changed it, so Blender stuff. And what I did was, after I had the color, I was switching between screen and multiply. Multiply if I wanted to make things a bit darker. Well, not that much darker. If you take the strength down to something like that, you can actually make quite an interesting stuff, even lower, so in the 0.1. You can make like a darker ridge here, and if you switch to screen, you can make like a light edge around the side of it, and that's what creates this effect, more or less. So that is just painted on. And I went through all the petals from all the angles, from the inside. It was a little bit awkward to do in some positions, but the end result was okay, more or less. At least I think. And I actually did this before assembly, so I did the paint on the big flower and these ones, and then I assembled the stuff again. And this is how I ended up with the final result. And if you look at the layout of this one, this is 4000 triangles and 2000 verts. And that's actually fairly good. It's like less than half of what we previously had with the high poly. So that's basically it. After the assembly, you had one low poly model, everything merged. The other thing I did was I put the origin point of the model down here. It's a bit lower than the actual ground plane. That's important because if you import it later onto a game engine, you are rotating and moving it based on that origin point. So it better be there. The other thing that I did was I added a plane just to have an idea. It normally shows you that it's like a 1 meter by 1 meter thing. So this is a 2 by 2 meter thing. So I reduced the size significantly for my plant to be somewhat realistic. It's still a bit, bigger than what a Hyacint would be. More realistic would be like around 20-30 centimeters, roughly 1/3 of this size. But I think this gives a good detail and an interesting way to work with this in Unreal Engine, which I will do shortly, and I show you how I set that up there. But that's basically it. It's just making the 4 basic shapes: the stalk, the leaf, the grown flower, and the budding flower, and then making the texture, painting it, assembling it, and then you have a final product. You can export the low poly and the base texture. Since it's hand painted, I don't have anything else on the PBR front. If it would really be needed, I can work a bit more on that, like make this a complete PBR with normal maps and everything, but I don't think it's needed, at least for what I was trying to achieve. Yeah. This was not meant to be, it meant to be realistic, but it's not meant to be like 100% realistic, because you anyway will look at it from roughly this distance. And that should be okay to view from this distance, and I'm showing it to you in a second. I'm switching over to Unreal Engine and I show you how it looks there. Alright folks, alright, here we are in Unreal Engine, and I already populated a small area with my hyacinths. This is the final texture that I ended up having. Let me pull this in. So it's just a base color texture with the petals for the full flower and the bud. This is the middle of it. It's a bit, looks a bit blurry, but you don't need more for a stylized, more or less stylized flower that you are hand painted. I'm happy that I managed to keep these streaks a bit here, because that's characteristic of the plant. It's not perfect. You can obviously spend a bit more time with it, make these lines disappear a bit more, blur things in. This one also, I have not even noticed that there's another line here for some reason. But yeah, I'm not too worried about that. That should be okay. Once you have that, you can set up a material, and it should be fairly easy. What I did is I just put the base color into base color, put 0 in specularity, almost 1 into roughness, and then I added a simple grass with very gentle breeze, so it will move a little bit. And that's basically it. The other thing that you need to worry about is setting this setting here. You need to make the material two-sided, otherwise, it will only show the upside of each side. And the newer Hyacint that we made, the last version, doesn't have a flip side on the petals. So the material needs to be two-sided to show everything. Do I wanna... I'm not sure what I did, but it must be something similar. And once you have that, you can open up your hyacinth, pull in that material, and lo and behold, here is your flower blowing in the wind. And what I did after that was just adding it to the foliage as a flower, and then you could draw with it. I think if I click this one, then yeah, we have a patch of that over there. If you want to take a look at this, we can. So these big ones are the originals, where I added more geometry. And that looks good, but it has a lot of unnecessary geometry. Also, the strikes on the leaves look a bit artificial, so I'm not too worried that we actually changed it. If we get out of here, these smaller ones are the new ones, and they kind of look okay. You can tell it's a low poly flower, but you don't necessarily need more than that. And you know, you can combine it with other things. If you get here, I made it actually knee high to show how it would work in a semi-normal environment. They're normally not higher than your knee, so even these are a bit high. The rest of the things, the yellow, red flowers and the greenery are my previous models. I just added this into the mix. I also tried a variation over here where I was not actually adding that much, just one type of green and the new hyacinth. And it looks fairly good. And if you get to this part here, there is only hyacinth here. So this is how the creation would look like in Unreal Engine. I don't think it's too bad. I mean, obviously there's room for improvement in whatever you are doing, but overall this is not bad. You can use this in large quantities and still maintain a fairly good FPS. So yeah, this is what I was doing with it. I was trying to add it to various things, and you know, now everywhere there's hyacinth. I might make this actually a better scene in later on. I figured that would be a good idea to make like a garden where I can display all my flowers and grass and everything. But for the moment, this will be the video. If you have any questions about it, throw it under the description and let me know. If you also have any idea of, you know, what to do next, if you have like a different type of flower that you want me to make or a different asset, let me know. And then, you know, we can make more videos like this. This was not actually a tutorial, so, you know, don't comment if you just want to say that I did something shitty. I know I did something shitty. But, you know, this is more like practice for me. You try something, it's either working or not working. You either make something out of it or abandon the project. This is why the video is a bit longer, because I was trying to contemplate if I should keep this or not. I need to cut out a lot of things, so hopefully it will be good, but you know, we never know until we see the final video. Alright, that was it, folks. See you in the next one. Bye bye.